Hi, hi. My name is Professor Alfonso Severos, and I'm just going to make a few comments about voting behavior in general. In general, when we look at people's voting behavior, we can look at two key components: identity based voting behavior and policy based voting behavior. And the ideal situation is to have a combination, a candidate to have a combination of both identity based voting and policy based voting. In identity based voting behavior, people vote because it expresses who they are and which group they belong to. Voting becomes a identity performance, not just a political choice or policies. Usually when we see that element in a campaign, it has a strong slogan, but a very broad slogan. Trump with MAGA people, make America great again. What does that mean? Well, it can mean different things to different groups. You know, if you're anti-immigration, it means getting rid of the immigrants. If you're a white supremacist, it means make America white again. So if you're an industrial capitalist, it would make America rich again, richer again. So it can mean many different things. So, but it's a slogan that identifies a group, uh, where Obama used a slogan, on keep hope alive, and very broad slogan, but it expressed different emotions. So identity-based politics and voting behavior is really group identity. And sometimes when you have group identity and you have a slogan, not only does it mean different things to different people, it can also go wrong. So we're beginning to see this with Donald Trump, because many of the people who voted to make America great again was looking at immigration, but they didn't have in mind what he's currently doing with ICE and the idea of killing American citizens and just rounding up anybody who looks or sounds like non-American. That's not what they had in mind. So slogans can mobilize, but at times backfire. Along with identity-based behavior, voting behavior, there is an emotional element. And emotions will drive turnout more than policy knowledge. And sometimes the emotions involved by politicians, used by politicians, can be fear, anger, pride, hope. Obama placed a lot on pride and hope. Trump placed a big emphasis on anger and fear. Uh, Unfortunately, Harris only used fear. What would happen if Trump got elected? Of course, she was absolutely right, but it wasn't a strong enough emotional component to increase that identity base. Uh, so that's identity based politics. People support the candidate because he represents the group. You like his worldwide view. There's that sense of belonging. This is tribal, emotional, and symbolic. People's voting behavior, though, can also be based on policy-based voting behavior. And that's pretty straightforward. People support a candidate because they have the same position, same economic interests, same worldview, and same specific proposals. What I'm saying is that voting is a psychological behavior, not just a political choice. Identity is often more powerful than the policy. And we see this with the MAGA votes. And Democrats need to make sure not only they understand this, but incorporate that in the next presidential election. Turnout depends on emotions, people's sense of belonging, and group norms. Elections reflect group psychology, not individual preferences. So the Democrats need to put a candidate in there that has a strong identity element people can identify with, who can put together a slogan that's broad enough to pull different fragments of the people together. Obama did it perfectly. Hope, keep hope alive. Unfortunately, so did Trump. Make America great again. And also create the kinds of progressive policies that will attract its base. They have to get their base out, especially the minority base, the Black and Latino. And they have to look at ways to do that. I hope this has been sort of interesting in understanding a little bit about voting behavior, both the identity-based component and the policy-based component.